All right, folks, welcome to a special edition of Coug Fan TV. We have none other than our head coach of Washington State men's basketball, David Riley. Coach, thanks so much for taking time to join us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, I just kind of want to jump right in. You guys have a scrimmage upcoming, New Mexico. One of the cooler things college basketball's done, I guess if you can say, you can't really say that too often, but what's it like to be able to now have an exhibition with another Division I program? What's like the best thing about this for you as a program and I guess college basketball in general?
Yeah, I think just that taking that next step before the regular season game starts. Like I was talking with a couple of our sophomores the other day. There's always that slippage from what you worked on all summer and fall to that first scrimmage. Like there's some stuff that you've been doing perfectly during practice, but then that slips when the lights go on, or that you start playing against someone else, and then there's more slippage for that first game where the lights are on and people are in the crowd. Then maybe the away games next, and you go to conference play, and then you go to the turn. Like there's all these different levels to the season, and you want to have the least amount of slippage as you change on those. And so I think just having a game with the lights on before we go play to get used to that, to get that kind of out of your system is great for us. And then I think for college basketball in general, like there's a lot more movement with the rosters, and it gives fans and everyone around the program a chance to get familiar with these guys before we really get going. So I just think it's a win-win.
Also, one of my favorite times of the year, we're currently in the secret scrimmage portion where a lot of schools are doing that. And, through the grapevine this weekend, heard you guys played Cal State Bakersfield. I don't know if there's anything that you want to maybe elaborate on. I know you probably want to keep it to a minimum, but what did you see, I guess, in that game?
I think it was really valuable for us just to play against someone else, and we can talk to these guys, and our guys can play against each other. But until you start getting exposed by other teams, I think it shines a little light on a few things, and it was great. I think we showed some of our strengths and some of our identity, which is good this early on. We had 27 assists in 40 minutes, which is a crazy number. We shot the ball really well. We took a jump from where we were last year in our rebounding and turnovers. We still got room to grow, I think. And just kind of showed us 3 or 4 things we got to work on this week, and try not to get at this point in the year, too distracted with the outcome, and really just try to see a couple areas we can improve upon. Obviously, we want to go win on Saturday and do everything we can to win in this exhibition game versus New Mexico. But at the same time, like, want to try different rotations out. Want to make sure we're going through the proper steps as we prepare for that first game.
Coach, I listened to your most recent media availability, and the word I think you used was perfect. When we're talking about the turnover percentage, 337th last year, defensive rebounding, 331. You said it's ad nauseum with these guys right now. In practice, you said you guys are right around the 180 to 200 range when you're taking a look at some of the practice stats. When you take a look at just that jump, obviously that's not where you guys want to be, but how do you feel about those two portions of the team going forward?
I think we're definitely taking jumps. We're getting better. It's not going to get. I don't think with our style of play we're going to be number 1 in the country and taking care of the ball. I think with our personnel we could be a pretty damn good rebounding team this year. Actually, it is a little different than last year. But just trying to hammer that home. Like I think when you look at college basketball, for the most part, like you go watch a random SEC game. It's all about the possession game. Who can get more offensive rebounds? Let's give it to one of those little guards, and they'll have the ball in their hands most of the time, and they're not going to turn it over, and they're going to get a shot on the rim, and then let's go be with the more physical team. And that's a recipe for winning in college basketball, because the skill level isn't necessarily the same as the NBA, where you can win with the percentage game as easily. And so I think we are trying to embrace that possession game a little bit more. I think we've shown that we can win the percentage game. We were, I don't know, 7th or 8th in the country, I think, in 2-point percentage, top 50 in 3-point percentage last season. Like we're doing okay. Our system's going to help us with that. We just got to make sure we win that possession game.
Yeah, one of the better Ken Palm stats, the effective field goal percentage. You guys were 11th in the nation last year. This is kind of a 2-part question, kind of going off of last question. EY, Simon, Jerome, and Uggs. You know, these are four guys that are transferring in that have a certain style to them already, as well as their previous stops. Very good programs. 3 out of those 4 programs made the NCAA tournament last year. Murray State has always been one of the better, non-power programs as well. So do you take a little bit of onus in like, hey, we want the right guy, and does sometimes a previous program play a big role in that, or is it more so, hey, we need to recruit to where our deficiencies were?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, like recruiting from winning programs. There's a lot to be said for that. Um, uh, it goes both ways though, because you can also get some steals from maybe programs that haven't been winning or haven't been using guys the right way, and maybe there's some habits that were formed at those programs that weren't winning that we need to fix, but there might be more room for growth. And so it's not just like some easy, hey, we want to recruit from teams that do this really well. There's kind of a sliding scale, and I guess a lot of it comes down to relationships and knowing who those guys are and what they're about. So there's a lot to be said for what you're saying. Like it makes my job a lot easier when Leon Rice has coached M's for a couple years at Boise State. They're a hell of a defensive program. They're physical, like that really helps us. And a guy like Jerome, who's just his mentality is I'm going to guard you, and it's a defensive aggressive mentality, and just understanding that is what we needed at the guard position that from last year. Like we tried to recruit to that, but there's always a little gray on that recruiting piece as well.
How did the non-conference shape up for you? Obviously, you have the return games with UW and Nevada. You guys go out to Davidson, second game of the season, and at USC as well on the non-conference. So how did you feel that you guys did with the non-conference portion of the schedule? And obviously heading out to Maui as well this year. That's a big time staple for this program.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the highlight of the preseason, right? Like for us to have a chance to play in the Maui Invitational is really awesome. Going to get some really good quad one games there. When you go look down the line, like a lot of teams that are really good. UW, Nevada, Davidson's always really good. The A10 has been taking steps each year. And so our mindset, and really this is kind of the mindset I've had as a head coach, is we want to try to get as many high level good games that are going to prepare us for March that we can. And we started off a little behind the 8 ball. It's just a reality. Like we were scrambling year one, building the roster, setting things in place, and we didn't get started probably early enough last season to get quite the amount of bigger schools or Big Ten, ACC. We want to get more of those kind of opponents for next season. But between USC, the Maui Invitational, the UW game, I think we got a really, really good balance.
Speaking of UW, there was an interesting quote last year from their head coach, Danny Sprinkle, and you have totally said, hey, we've got to be able to play teams in our state, recruit the state. You're big on the state of Washington. Last year, before your guys' your non-conference game, he said it's a rivalry game. It wasn't that important to me to keep it on the schedule. It's important to a lot of other people. What do you take from that? Are you hoping to be able to schedule UW in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's an obvious game for both sides. It's great for college basketball and great for the state and just everyone involved. So, I think part of that might be here's what I'm gonna assume is that Danny hadn't been in the state of Washington for a long time. I've been lucky enough to be around Spokane for the last 17 years, and I understand what the rivalry is and what Washington State and UW are about with that rivalry. And so hopefully after year one with Danny, he understands it, and now it's not just important to the other people, but everybody. And I think it's hard not to see that this is such a great game between us, and everything about it is going to be fun.
And not to discredit Danny, I mean, it was a question asked by Percy Allen in a press conference. So going back to this summer, Klay Thompson, joined you guys, was able to play pickup, posted a photo of his old home, in Greek Row. What was that like? And how did that come to happen?
Yeah, one of my former teammates actually ended up playing at Washington State with Klay, Ben Lowen, and I guess Klay reached out to him about a week before he came out here, got my number, and it was really all him. He wanted to come back to his old stomping grounds, go hoop with the guys, meet everybody. I think just he has a real appreciation for this place and what it did for him, and what he was able to accomplish here, and how he was able to just put his head down and be part of something bigger than himself. Like he talked about that with our guys individually before practice. He talked to the whole team after practice, and that kept on coming up as a theme of like just appreciating what you guys have here as far as just an opportunity to develop and be a part of a family that cares about this place. So it meant a lot to our guys to see that and see this person that's this, a superstar in this game, and what really makes him tick, and what he appreciates about his journey to this point. So hopefully get him out to some more games, more open gyms. We got it. We're playing Davidson, so maybe him and his boy Steph can get a little friendly banter going on online or something like that. But he's a huge supporter of the program, and just appreciate him being out here.
The ever evolving sport of college basketball. Now we're seeing, current players take on roles at their former university, Damian Lillard to be one. How important is it to maybe have that option with Klay, or just being able to have him around the program just in general?
Yeah, I think we'll get down the line with what that might look like with what all these other teams are doing, and I'm not too sure what some of they got titles and all that, but what that all entails. But really, just to have, like, I think the biggest advantage is him coming out, talking to our guys, them seeing what it looks like, and asking them questions, and it's just really really all about tradition. Like I was telling a recruit this morning that we're kind of going over the blueprint and how we can help him, and like our system wasn't created because like I followed some coach or I had this idea. No, it's like there's a bunch of really, really good players that we try to take bits and pieces of what they did and add it to how we approach the game and how we approach the program, and the kids' routines. And like, so hey, having Klay Thompson in there and to explain some of these things and add to what we're doing, like there's nothing more valuable than that.
This year, every 4 years, universities have the opportunity to travel abroad, and you guys were able to go to England as well as Spain. You played against Ethan Price's current pro team in a scrimmage, and realistically, last year you were able to bring in 4 guys from your previous stop and have some continuity on offense for some of the other guys to learn from. You have that again this year with 5 returners. Obviously, haven't played as many minutes as those 4 guys did coming from Eastern. But when you add that, as well as the extra practices, the extra time with each other, games, how huge is that in this current sport where, frankly, 4 years is the new 2?
It's very, very true. And I think that was kind of our mindset when we approached this foreign tour. And I talked to a lot of coaches when they found out we were going on it, that were shocked we're doing it in today's day with NIL, and most teams are putting every cent they can into that NIL piece. And well, hey, like can we get a better player for, let's just say, $100,000, or can we go get 15 players better with the extra 10 practices and 4 games and time spent across the ocean where they're having to figure things out and understand each other? Like, I think you get way more benefit out of that than especially if we're going to pride ourselves on being a developmental program. Giving our guys opportunities to develop like that is really, really valuable. I think it's helped speed us along to the point that we're at. Like we've been able to play more 5-on-5 this fall than we were last fall because we had to install less. So there's a lot of different reasons why it's a big advantage, and probably the best one is just making those guys hang out and talk and go through a couple of unique experiences together overseas.
Folks, I'm sorry, but we have to plug an ad. I know it's probably crazy to see, but folks, if you haven't today, please, the Cougar Collective join the 1890 club, do whatever you can to help out with every program here at Washington State and the resources they need. Again, if you haven't, sign up today. Get a hold of Tim Brandel if you need any more information on it. Jumping into the returners, Tomas. I mean, he had his feet to the fire last season with a lot of the injuries that you guys had. And there was times where you could really see his game evolving, where he's kind of a brute force when he's going to the rack. What have you seen from him in terms of adding more of that post game and driving game, and a guy that really is going to be one of your key cogs this season?
Yeah, he's really taken a jump, and like he had more in his bag last year than he was able to show. He kind of he didn't get to come in the summer because he was playing with his national team. When he did come, he had a 2-week stretch where he got sick, lost 10 pounds, and just kind of had a bumpy fall. Plus, like, first time in the States, coming from Iceland, I can only imagine the culture shock, and just more tired every day. Everything's a whirlwind. Like, I think he's a lot more comfortable right now. He's always been a super physical driver. Like, when he puts his head down and gets to the rim, it's really, really hard to stop him. I think he started to add a little bit of post game to where if he gets a smaller guy now and he gets cut off, he can turn his back and put his back on him and start posting him up too. So he's gotten a little more versatile as well. But really, like, a huge part of that, just getting more comfortable and understanding what's coming next.
Over this past offseason, I had a birdie say, "Hey, we've got the Spanish Ricky Rubio coming, blah blah blah," and we could not find the name for the life of us. So shout out to the coaching staff on that one. Adria Rodriguez is the name, and he comes over as only having 1 year of eligibility. But you see the frame, some of the passing that the Spanish national team has posted, some of his no-look finds, and defensively, speaking to Jerome earlier this week, he said he brings a certain edge defensively. Coach Pedro said that, Jerome said that. I feel like this team really is waiting to show fans what their defense is going to look like this year. But that was a long-winded question. I guess get into Adria first and defense second.
Yeah, no, it's been like the unique change in the rules, right? Where we can start recruiting different areas and different players that have played in different leagues. And I've been lucky enough to have Pedro Garcia Rosado on my staff since I first started. Like, he was my first hire coming out to Eastern Washington, and he was a head coach in Iceland at the time. He's from Malaga, and been with him 5 years. We still this is my first Spanish player that we've been able to pull, and he's done a great job, obviously, recruiting internationally and getting these guys. But he's always been really picky because he knew, like, that first Spanish guy that I get, he's got to be a bad man because putting my reputation on the line. He did that. Like, Audrey has been obviously a great player. He's a great leader. He's a point guard in every sense of the word. Like Jerome said, like, he's really going to guard with some of these, just the mindset of some of these guys that we have on this team. I really think we're going to have a gritty, tough defensive team. And yeah, like, I just think Audrey's getting more comfortable. It helps to, like, I talked about Thomas last year, whirlwind, like, first time in the States, getting better at English. Like, Audrey's kind of been going through that, but he got here a little earlier than Thomas did. He's taken steps. I think having all these international guys that have been here, Indy, Ree, Thomas, that's 3 international guys that have been here the year before. They can help him along the way. We got Pedro cooking some Spanish food for him. So I think we've got these guys in a little bit better spot going into the year where they're feeling a little more confident. We got to get some shirts made, the Pullman, the Madrid of the West, or something like that.
Yeah, we've got to find something
here.
Yeah, get it to his NIL, whatever we got to do, figure out the shirt. You mentioned in one of your post-game media availabilities, the computer science program. You guys are slightly working with them, helping with lineup data. Can you maybe go into, was this something that you guys did year one here, or is it new?
Yeah, this is my, probably, after I got the staff hired, first couple months on the job, went over to the data analytics uh, program, talked to one of the professors, just wanted to get a couple students that could help me out. And we've got, I mean, Silas is our guy right now. He's unbelievable. He's got every practice that we've had since the summer, one man lineups, like, hey, when Audrey's in the game, here's what our defense's efficiency is, here's how we rebound, here's how we turn it over or force turnovers. I can look at 3-man lineups, I can look at 5-man lineups. It's unbelievable. And it's a really, really valuable tool, because at the end of the day, like, it's great. We can like, we've been able to tell, hey, this guy's our leading scorer in practice, this guy's our leading rebounder, but what's way more valuable than that is, how does the team do when he's on the floor? And I think that getting these little tools that we can have, I think, is great. And really, for me, like, that's the beauty of college basketball. We have all these resources and people trying to learn and develop new things and create things. Like, I think for us, it's great. We get all this information. For a guy like Silas, who's going to be a senior this year, or is a senior this year, he's got to talk with the Warriors analytic people, the Ravens analytics people. He's got to work with all these different people. It's going to really help him in his career going forward. And I just think it links us to the university as well, where we can really start partnering with these people and make it so everyone's kind of behind this ship that we're pushing forward.
You know, last season, your first year, you mentioned, gosh, you're learning a new home, a new place, so many new things, and you didn't really we didn't know what the conference looked like. Now that that's beginning to take shape, how much of a difference is it for you guys on the recruiting trail to be able to say, hey, look, like, this is what the stats say, net rating, this is a power conference in terms of college basketball?
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of what we've got here at Washington State. Like, I was, again, we had a recruit on campus this morning and took him through the video and the vision and all these different things. And I think the three things that we really like, hey, the fit is there. Like, we have a system, and we're recruiting players to that system. The development piece and the culture of development, I think, is something that we really pride ourselves on. We want to get, I think Pullman is self-select, kind of like, you're going to get guys that want to develop. They're not coming here for any other reason besides, hey, this is a great spot to develop my life as a basketball player. And the third piece is the stage. Like, we get an amazing stage. We have 10 national TV games. We have NBA scouts at every game. We have GMs that come out to Pullman. We've got, a conference, like you said, that would be whatever the word is nowadays. If you want to call it Power Four, like, we're a top 4 conference. Like, this is a really, really good basketball conference. 8 of the 9 teams in the NCAA tournament the last 2 years. Like, it's a great thing to recruit to, and you'll see some of the guys that we got get signed here soon. It's a hell of a class.
Mark Few was in the news last week regarding college basketball and transfers. I don't know if you got a chance to see what he said about that.
Yep.
He basically said you should get one transfer and you don't have to sit that first year. Anything after that, no matter what happens, you need to sit a year. It could be the best thing for your career. We've had many of our red shirts go on to have incredible NBA careers. In many ways, it helps. What's kind of your diagnosis on that?
I think that's pretty logical. Like, I heard Calipari kind of hit on that idea. I think it was Calipari, and makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. And I think it takes the waivers out. It takes the unfairness, or whatever you want to call it, in different situations. Makes a hell of a lot of sense. But I
Yeah,
giving these kids all this money, and now they're going to let them gamble, but we can't figure out the 5-year thing. So I don't know what's going on with all this. I think that we need to try to step by step, and they've been like, it is a cluster. I'm not saying it's an easy job, but I think that we're step by step getting to a place where hopefully there's some more clarity.
Coach, I'm paraphrasing. This is my last question for you. It's a fun one. Paraphrasing from what Coach Pedro told me, but there was an interesting first meetup where, do you know what I'm talking about? The first time you and Coach Pedro met, it was dinner
Yeah.
in another country.
It was yeah. Well, this is how great my wife is. It was my honeymoon. So we're doing the little Euro trip. We're in Barcelona for 3-4 days. And I just saw there was a U18 Spanish tournament out in, I don't know, Zaragoza, I think, about a couple hours away. took a train up there. We stayed the night. Emily goes and sees all the, there's some pretty cool castles and museums out there. While I just walk into a tournament, this is kind of my first introduction to international basketball, besides just watching film. So I'm assuming there's going to be a bunch of guys that look like Pedro when I walk in the gym, like a bunch of little Spanish guys. I see Usman and Garuba doing double windmills, and like it was insane. I couldn't believe the talent that was out there and the level of coaching. And I had a mutual friend, Nick Booker, who worked with me at Eastern Washington, who knew Pedro, and got to sit down with him and had a good dinner with a bunch of people. Like in hindsight, like looking back at that picture, it was like the who's who of coaches and agents and players in Europe, and introduced me to a lot of important people. But like really, this all stemmed from basketball, because we hit COVID about a year and a half later. We would get shut down for a week. I'd call Pedro and I'd get the itch for watching more hoops, and he'd send me these practices from Iceland where you have 6 pros and 3 local guys that looked like they were high school players, and he was having all these unique drills and how to work on things, and we were talking about concepts, and we talked almost every week. I mean, we sent practice film back and forth throughout the whole season, and that was my first call when I got the job, is to have a guy that's thinking outside the box, that has all these connections outside. Like, I think it really meshed well with what I was trying to do.
Awesome. Well, Coach, season is right around the corner. Year 2 for David Riley in Washington State men's hoops. Really appreciate the time today, and best of luck this season.
Appreciate it. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.